Good evening. It's 7:02 and we're going to reconvene the open session of the Cabrillo Unified School District Board meeting, March 10th, 2016.
And the microphone will now be on, and can anybody hear me in the back? Thank you. Sorry about that. We have a tech challenge today. It's going to be fun. So the board did meet from 6:02 to 7:02 p.m. and took no action. So the next step is to have the Pledge of Allegiance. Do I have a volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Wonderful. Would you step up, tell us your name?
I'm Maddie.
Hey, Maddie. Thank you very much. Step to the middle if you'd like, and then you know what to do, right?
Yeah. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maddie, what school do you go to?
go to Untitled Chapter.
What grade?
4th,
Whose class?
Mrs. Falls.
This is awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Okay, the next step is to adopt the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Seconded. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. So we'll retain the agenda as presented, and that brings us to item 8, student staff community recognition. And that will be done by Superintendent Easter? Is that correct? Who's leading the,
Joy.
Joy? Hi. You start now.
So,
I know.
Joy, you have to, so it's with great pleasure that I introduce Joy Darnell, who is the principal of Fairlawn View Elementary, and we have brand new microphones, so we'll have to, there you go. And now, so now I will turn this over to Joy.
The light is on. Hello. Good evening. On a stormy night like tonight, at the end of February, we had family game night at Fairlawn View, and it was a really great event. I want to give credit to our sister school, El Granada, for their family math night, as well as Hatch, who also had a family math night prior to our family game night. May I move this? Okay, thank you. And one of the things that we wanted to do was to take this idea and then make it kind of more Fairlawn View. And one of the things that we got some feedback about from some of our families is that they really wanted to make it a game night. So we have family game night, and I really appreciate the support of the families as well as the students and the staff who made it possible. So I spoke with several of our people who are going to be recognized, and several people couldn't make it tonight, whether parent conferences. So I'm going to be recognizing the people who are in our audience today. And so let me just take a quick look to make sure I know who it is. Okay, great. So the first person I want to recognize is Katie Dugan, who, as our specialized programs coordinator, came out to Fairlawn View during our lunch recesses to work with student docents in preparing them for family game night. So Katie Dugan. Also Amy Rhodes, who spent many hours planning and supporting the event prior to the night, and then the evening of the event she was stuck in New York and supporting us by phone. So thank you to Amy Rhodes. And we had several student docents, and one of our docents was able to make it this evening, and so I want to recognize Marco Malosi for his time training as a docent and the evening of leading families and students in activities. Thank you, Marco. And I will happily deliver the other certificates and the board recognition to the other people at our site. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Howard. Okay.
Good evening, members of the audience. My name is Kate Livingston, and I'm here to honor, on behalf of the school board, Lori Mayotte. Lori, would you please come up and stand? Okay. what she did yet.
Oh, I got a hunch.
You don't know what she did. Lori Mayott ran the Second Harvest Produce Mobile Program at El Granada for 3 years. And if you would so indulge me, I would love for Lori to tell you the story of how it got started.
Okay. Yes, so I'm also the director of the Dolphin Club program, which is the after-school tutorial at El Granada Elementary, where we service 4th and 5th graders in tutorials and homework assistance. And we're going into our 9th year. So about 4 years ago, the teachers and I were discussing writings that we had read that day. And one of the teachers had a great concern about one of them that was turned in. And she shared it with me. And it was him, one of our students, talking about, I wish I had more food at home. I wish I had meat. And I hope I have meat for Christmas. And brings tears to my eyes now already, still. So she brought it to my attention, and we both sat there for a few minutes thinking about it. And Mark, who had talked about bringing a produce mobile to the coast side about a year before that, I decided to go talk to him and see if he was still interested in putting one in the coast side and seeing if I could be responsible, the Dolphin Club could be responsible for the original plan was to have students help us, but unfortunately it didn't work out, so the parents did. But get it at the school for the families that would at least be produce and fruits and vegetables. And they would receive approximately 50 pounds of fresh produce once a month. So we proceeded with getting the approval, and it happened, and we were able to sign up all those families, especially the one that we were concerned about, without going to the family. And we felt really good about Dolphin Club supporting that. We felt really good about providing that for our families at El Granada Elementary for 3 years. And I was really happy that I could be an instigator of getting that going. So Mark, thank you. Ford, thank you for approving that. But since then, something else has happened.
Lori's Produce Mobile has morphed into the school pantry. And I didn't realize that the school pantry would put Lori out of business, but indeed it did. The school pantry is a much larger operation. It not only does the produce, the vegetables and fruits, but it also does proteins, grains, and other items. And we've had our first very successful one last February 25th. And with that, I'd like to bring up Mark. I'm going to mispronounce your name. I've got it written down here. Cocoletsos. Did I do well? Oh, Mark is from Second Harvest.
Great.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me a little bit of time to meet to speak in front of the board. Lori took on this program in January of 2013, and it ended this last January was the last distribution. In that time, they actually served for 29 months. So once a month for 29 months. They obviously didn't do the summer months. They did 102,000 pounds of fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables in that time. They averaged 90 households per month. So
Thanks for the statistics.
absolutely, it couldn't have been done
Very
without
good.
Lori standing up and asking to do this.
Thank you for coming back. We appreciate the support of the board, because without your support, there would have been none. And without the faculty and administration at El Granada and the families there, it would not have been as successful. But thank you for helping to recognize Lori tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. It's a big thing to have this go successfully on the coast, and I appreciate Kate's efforts, Lori's efforts, Mark's efforts, and everybody that helps out with this. It's just a wonderful thing. Okay, that takes us to item 9, which is comments from the public on items not on the agenda. Do we have any green slips? Seeing none, Patty, okay. Great, well, we'll move on then. There is nobody that wishes to address the board on items not on the agenda. That takes us to 10 representative reports, and we have Mr. Reardon representing CUTA. Please.
Well, Sean Reardon from the Cabrillo Unified Teachers Association. Well, wow, was I impressed with the outreach from Board Vice President McCammett and Superintendent Yuster as they came to the board asking for our help to develop strategies for teacher retention. It was a productive conversation, and I think it was really one that's going to continue into the future. That made us all feel great. John and I have been meeting to ease any sort of bell schedule changes, and that's a pretty exciting change that is in the works, and we're going to ease all the bumps out before we get there. And finally, a shameless plug for the art department at the high school. April 1st, and this is no joking, we're going to have our open studio, a night of display and creation and conversation and, of course, snacks. So I hope to see all the board members and everyone from the DO and the public as well.
What
We're going to
hours?
be 6 to 8.
Thank you.
And it's going to be good.
April Fool's Day.
I'll see you then.
All right, thank you. Hi, so CSEA representative, I see.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Diane Paoli, president of CSEA. CSEA would like to thank the administration for working with our team in a professional manner to settle our recent negotiations. It was a pleasure to work with all of you, and we look forward to opening our new contract in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. That's wonderful. Great, so item 11 is reports and information. We have a presentation on we have the second interim financial report. And we'll step over here.
It's hard to believe that we're already in March and already presenting second interim. Just a couple months ago, we were at first interim, and in a couple more months, we will be back up here with LCAP, budget, and estimated actuals. So the interim financial reports, again, is a status of the financial health of the district. The interim reports must include a certification, positive, qualified, or negative. And this is a timeline I've showed you quite a few times of how the business office actually functions sometimes within 3 fiscal years just in 1 year. So we can see right here at second interim, this is actually the only period of the year that we actually are only operating within 1 fiscal year. So the significant changes since first interim are around the educator effectiveness funds that we will be receiving. These funds will be subject to the annual audit, and we will be presenting a plan for your approval probably within the next month or so on how we plan to expend those funds. Very similar to what we had with the Common Core funds, except for the Common Core funds were not subject to annual audit. So the planning factors that went into first interim is the COLA. What I would like to point out, just how quickly things change, is that in 16-17, as of second interim, it's 0.47 COLA. At first interim, it was 1.6. So we see it has gone down, a full percentage. In 17-18, it has also went down at first interim. It was 2.48%. So the else
based on expected economic factors you get from the state.
Right. So constantly 1 month revenues are extremely high, overmeet the forecast. Next month they're low. So it's going to change. That 4.7 does seem a little bit low. I think we'll probably be closer to 1. come out, may revise in a few more months. The LCFF gap funding, we're 51% of the way towards our target. This year, we'll receive $3.2 million of that target. And as you can see, the trajectory closer to 2021, it goes down. So next year, it's the 1.5 million, and the following year, only 1 million. The STRS employee rate is a very important topic for all districts, and especially our district. We see that 10.73% cost us $1.5 million. And when we jump to 17-18, that amount goes to $2.3 million of our budget in STRS costs. The state must address that for districts to maintain fiscal solvency. And the same goes with PERS. We're about $875K this year, going all the way up to 1.2 in 17-18. The lottery remains the same, 140 for unrestricted per ADA equals about 470K. And the lottery restricted, which also is referred to Prop 20, is about $139,000 a year, which can be spent on textbooks. The one-time discretionary fund, the governor gave us that amount. It actually started at I think it started about $700, then it went down to $300, then it ended up at $529, which came out to about $1.7 million for us. But what he also did was this mandate block grant that we sign up, this year it was absorbed into the 1.7. One-time funding is probably going to be a consistent way of funding districts, so we will have to see what he comes up with. It may revise, and we hope to get some one-time funding in 16-17 and 17-18. Then again, here's that educator effectiveness, about $258K for us. So again, $3.2 billion in one-time discretionary funds, so you can see how large those one-time funding pots are. And for us to get 1.7 million, it would be nice if we got 1.7 a year. I would be happy with that. And then we are still on target to reach full implementation in 2021 for LCFF. So when we look at the multi-year projection, we have our total revenues here, and then we have our expenditures there. We're still slotted to deficit about $1 million for this year. Does get better, stays about the same that third year out. But we can really start to see those STRS effects in our third year out at 3%. The reserve here at the end of this fiscal will probably end higher than this because of those one-time funds that are in there. When you add one-time revenue, you want to make sure that you back it up with expenditures, not to inflate this bottom dollar with money that will not sustain itself for ongoing expenditures. So we'll see where we actually finish come June. So current expenditure uncertainty may arise from the following. Nothing really has changed since first interim. We have the STRS and the PERS that we really need to keep an eye on. The increased cost in special ed, and just the uncertain operating environment reflected with just greater transparency under the LCAP and moving of expenditures as we try to figure out what programs work best for all students and then isolated groups of students. So closing thoughts again, we are on our way for full implementation of LCFF. We will continue to see little revenue growth of LCFF in future years. Our largest year was last year and then this year. Prop 30 is still slated to expire in 18-19. I know there's a lot of talk about being able to put that back on the ballot. This, just so that you do know, the new ballot language for 18-19 is different than the original ballot language that got us the EPA funding. So I would look closely at that, at actually how much the schools are going to receive. Again, maintaining adequate reserves is essential, and also maintaining fiscal flexibility by limiting commitments to future increased expenditures. So before I leave you, I would like to provide you an update on something that we were working about this time last year, and that was our what I like to refer to as the unfair share of our $1.9 million in categorical funds that the district still did not receive back when we flipped from basic aid, 100% funded by property tax, to revenue limit, or also known as LCFF. So we've been working on it for about 2 months ago. Senator Hill's office reached out again and asked for my help in getting some letters from some other districts across the state that flipped. And we were far more successful this year than we were last year. We actually got on the agenda at the budget hearing, and we had lobbyists there. We had very wealthy districts there. So last Thursday was the hearing on various education finance issues. They spent about 10 minutes discussing the school flipper issue. Votes on specific items will likely take place in May. Senator Hill's office felt that the discussion on the issue was very good and set us up for a positive outcome. Of course, the Department of Finance said no. CDE said they would be open to it. Department of Finance argued that the issue will be fixed once LCFF is fully implemented. That was their same argument last year when we were trying to make our case. And again, we reminded them that that $1.9 million will make significant effects right now versus in, for another 4 years from now. The DOF, Department of Finance, further argued that the issue is only a matter of where districts started in their funding and not where they will end up, saying that in the end we will all end up fully funded. Senator Moorlach of Orange County asked rhetorically, this is my favorite part, why we are penalized and now are behind. He then asked the Department of Finance why they supported a specific fix for Santa Barbara Unified, but not the rest of the schools. Of course, the Department of Finance said they didn't know why, and then they were asked again with a follow-up rhetorical manner, why can't we have the same fix as some of the other districts?
How many districts are being impacted?
There's like 15 to 18, but what's interesting is this is $1.9 million to Cabrillo, right? That's huge. It would change things for us, but there are districts where this is putting them into negative certification. Districts that are having to fund a lot of charter schools and so forth. It's absolutely devastating for them. Senator Hill said that he does see this as a positive path forward. And the next round, I was talking to his office today, was again another round of letters. And I think that we had to do a lot of encouraging to get some of these other districts to really get on board with us, to think that they could make a difference. And so I think that by the outcome of this hearing and the people that showed up, to help fight that fight really gave a sense of energy that was kind of lacking last year. So I hope to be successful over the next couple weeks to obtain some more letters and possibly a resolution we bring back to the board next month to go forward.
Maybe you should find out what Santa Barbara.
I know it's what Santa Barbara got, right?
Oh, their trip. Yeah. Crystal, would you define fully funded in terms of $88 per student in the current new definition when LCFF?
Well, it will be at the 2007, 2008 levels. It's different funds per grade. So K3 has a different fund. I don't have that dollar amount on the top of my head. And then 4 through 6. I want to say, and then I think 8th through 12th is also at a different fund for their targets.
7,000?
Yeah, they get a little higher. We definitely get more money for the secondaries than we do the elementaries.
Because, before they rearranged all the chairs, we used to watch
Mm-hmm.
the decline and then the optimistic, it's going to be higher later, and now it's fully funded.
Yeah, fully funded at 07, 08.
That's what that is.
Which, if you're going to fund me at 07, 08, then I'd like to pay the STRS and PERS rates of 07, 08. Because I can't afford them at fully funded.
All that fully funded.
But once again, I'm excited to bring you a positive certification. That's definitely something that the district should be very proud of, especially in these times.
Great.
Thank you.
Other questions, discussion?
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay, that takes us to agenda item 12, discussion items. First, we're going to discuss the first reading of the proposed CUNY textbook adoption. And I believe,
Yes, Mr. Dooley and Ms. Ullman are here to discuss the first reading of the proposed adoption for math. Thank you for being here.
That microphone is far away. That's a good microphone. All right.
Close.
Yeah, right?
you can whisper.
Whisper. All right, well, thank you, Dr. Jewett, Superintendent Euster, President Reamer, and board members. Obviously, with the change of Common Core state standards and that adoption that occurred in California, curricular changes have also been underway with implementation at CUNY Intermediate School. These changes have occurred hand in hand with the examination and the pilots of a number of curricular resources across a number of subjects. The mathematics department began this work years ago, but really started to focus that work in the 2014 to 15 school year, where they piloted 5 different curricular resources, among some others here and there, over that time span. As a result, the mathematics department has come to an agreement in collaboration with the district mathematics committee on a requested adoption of textbooks and curricular resources. As you will hear from a moment from our mathematics department chair, Ms. Oldman, the proposal for adoption of the College Preparatory Math, better known as CPM, that program, is a direct result of the changing face of the math classroom. I would now like to introduce Ms. Michelle Oldman, our esteemed department chair at CUNY, to speak a little bit more in detail about CPM and the program.
Good evening. We've been on a long journey with Common Core standards being adopted and trying to find the right resource materials to bring our students along in the Common Core. And through the past couple of years, we've piloted 5 different publishers. And we just wanted to hold out and keep looking and keep trying until we found what we thought would be the best materials for our district. And this year we feel very confident that we hit on the right thing. We have 7 math teachers this year, and every single one has been piloting the program all year. And everybody's very excited about it. So our criteria for looking for texts were Common Core and also the 8 math practices. Equity, so I'm going to show you in just a minute how everything that CPM has is in English and Spanish, so all the materials are available. And we wanted material that was going to develop critical thinkers, so that's one of the real strengths of CPM, is that the process it goes through when you're working in a group actually is teaching kids how to think and how to figure out which steps to go through to, dig into a deep conceptual problem. And the classrooms have completely changed into being student-centered, so we have groups and each student has a role in the group and they rotate around, so they're learning how to ask good questions and develop good academic discourse. And the last piece of criteria was professional development, and this is definitely one of CPM's strengths. So they have free professional development, and we can go to as many things as we want to. And it's all taught by teachers who use CPM in their classrooms for quite a few years, so they're very experienced. And we all participated in 3 days in the summer and then 4 days during the school year. And we just love going because we have a lot of fun, and they have all kinds of great materials, and we get to be the kids. We sit in groups, and the training is completely modeled after what we should be doing in our classrooms. And so we get to play first, and then we go back to our rooms and do the stuff. So I'm just going to run you through the textbook real quick. This is the let's see, two other things. So the hardbound book that we have was published in 2013, which is really close to where they submitted for the state adoption list. So every piece of what we want to adopt is on the state adopted materials, which the list came out in 2014. So what's awesome about the electronics is they can update this constantly, which they are doing, and so we can keep up with that. So it might log me out, and I'll have to log back in. Let's see. So here's the English, and the students, the student version, we would hide the toolbar, and then they can look through here. Usually it has an introduction, like what are we going to be talking about, what are we doing. It gives you a little introduction about how you go shopping in the grocery store, and they have local fruits and vegetables, and then Gustavo's grandma gave him some money in a savings account to save. And we're going through learning about proportional relationships and non-proportional relationships, but it walks kids through. You can see kind of how the questions, and it ramps things up so you can keep seeing. And there's no distractions in here. It's all black and white. There's no little, sidebars with all kinds of stuff to keep kids, to distract kids. It's just real straightforward. And then if I bring the toolbar back, so the Spanish version is right here. So it's real simple. Everything that we can see in English, they can see in Spanish. And then for the teachers, every section, so I'm in just one chapter in a section, it starts off, it tells you what standard you're working on, and it has a little video for you to watch to get kind of an idea of how to use the lesson. There's a ton of material in each lesson, but they give you the core problems. Like, you definitely need to get through these problems, and if you get through these, there's plenty more, to challenge kids. And then it'll show you everything they have is linked to Desmos. I don't know if anybody's been on that yet, but it's a really exciting new program, a San Francisco startup. And it's basically a TI-84 color graphing calculator that's online, free for students and teachers. It's always going to be free. And so if we click on something here, it'll bring us over to Desmos, I think. And the same problems that were in the CPM textbook are here. And then we can go through and we can graph, and you can add tables, and it's just really a cool program. So we're just learning how to use that, but CPM has all their stuff connected to it and a quick link. And then the teacher materials, we're still in there, it'll just give you a lot of ideas, different ways to keep your groups engaged and keep the kids, moving and thinking. And it includes, here's how you're going to do some closure. And then universal access, so you've got scaffolding and reading strategies. And then the homework assignment, which is not necessarily connected to that day's material. So if you didn't quite make it through that day's material, it's the kids, you're not stressing out like we got to rush through this stuff to, so the kids can do their homework. So it's all designed for students to have processing time so they can work on things together and actually think through things and catch on to how things work. And I don't know, we just think the materials are awesome. So let's see if I forgot to say anything here yet. Look at my notes. Yeah, academic discourse and productive struggle. So not everything in here is easy. There's a lot of challenging problems and things to work through. And so they're connected with mindset, so keeping a growth mindset with the kids so that they feel good about struggling through something and get that feeling when they actually figure it out and it's like, oh, now I really get it. So questions? Anybody has? Yes?
So I noticed in addition to the book itself, the e-book license is included. Could you
Yes.
chat a little bit about using technology that we funded for the students? Are you expect that they'll be using a tablet in class, access it, or a book in class? Would they be able to access basically the book online at home if they have their own device? How does that,
Sure.
how does that transition
Yeah.
happen? I know
Great.
training and
Yeah,
so
let me
forth,
go
but we're
back to
still learning
the
what you're-
student.
what you're taking.
Yeah, so first on the student version, the homework is called Review Preview because we keep cycling through things to develop mastery on a topic, then it needs to come back over and over again. And so the homework, first of all, every student, so each textbook comes with an 8-year license. So each year when the new crop of students come in, every student gets a license. And if they have access to electronics at home, then they can log right into their book. And you can do your homework, so we're trying to get as many kids as possible doing their homework electronically. One advantage is right here on the homework problem, you can click on the link and get some homework help. So if you're stuck on something, they have hints and things that you can go through, which is awesome. A lot of kids have mentioned how that's, I used the homework help last night and whatever. So, not,
interrupted, just real
sure.
quick. Because you mentioned you do your scratch paper, you're doing your math problems, you're writing with pencil, okay?
Yeah.
How do they actually do their homework? They're still working on paper.
Yes, they are.
This is just reference points. What
Right,
you're saying.
yeah.
Capturing it in the book. Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
Their materials, their electronics are fantastic so far. They work on everything. You have an iPhone, Android, doesn't matter what you have, you can get on CPM, and it works. So we haven't had any complaints about I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that. So a lot of kids are, if they have their phone and they're waiting for a sports activity to start, they can just pull it up on the phone and be doing their homework and not lugging around a textbook. Let's see what else. Not all of our students have electronic access at this point, so we need textbooks available so that every student can still have a book. And then, like when the internet went down, then we're using the textbook. And in the classrooms, we're definitely using the technology. So we have Chromebook carts, and we're on and off. We have the links to some of the Desmo activities, letting the kids get on the Chromebook, and sometimes we use one Chromebook in the group so that they're still working together and talking, but they're doing the electronics at the same time, and sometimes each one has their own. So it's fantastic that we do have the technology in the classroom. And some of us are sharing carts, so we're constantly fighting over, I need that cart today because we're doing this. Yeah, but the technology's been very supportive.
Thank you very much.
That sort of leads into my question. So a textbook per student
Yes.
for 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders. So this CPM will be the CUNA math program for all the grades.
Yes, so it's going to be every grade. So another thing that's really awesome about CPM, the things that they teach kids, like we have a graphic that does decimal percent, fraction, and then the words, how you say it. So there's a little triangle graphic, how they're all connected together. And that follows through every grade. So they see the same graphic coming, or they're going to use an area rectangle. We use that for factoring polynomials. We use it in 6th grade for learning how to multiply. So they have a lot of consistent themes. So having the same textbook in all 3 grades is going to be, really great. And we're hoping also the high school is planning to adopt CPM, so we're going to go all the way through 6K, 612, continuously with the language and the graphics and the way they're learning things is carried through every grade, which is good.
We had also talked at one point, some time ago, of having a textbook at school and a textbook at home.
Yes.
This eliminates that need. If you have access.
Yeah, so what we're planning for our adoption, because we're not at that point yet, we need to have a textbook that we can send home for the Williams Act. Every kid needs to have a textbook. In addition to that, the license is free, so they will have the license, and we're hoping most kids will use the electronics. And in the classroom, same thing, because not every day we're on the electronics, and we still need to be able to have access to the material. We will be supplementing with SVMI, the Silicon Valley Math Initiative. definitely like the transition from the elementary schools with number talks and Mars tasks, and so we still plan to keep that as part of our curriculum. So just because we've been piloting and kind of really intensely making sure the CPM is the thing, we haven't done as much of that this year as we normally do, but we will definitely be back on track with that, yeah.
And I just want to reiterate, a new math teacher coming on board will have access to the staff development.
We'll have access to the staff development so that the training will always be available to the
They're
newbies.
always offering
Okay.
training, so.
You're speaking the same language throughout.
Yes, so even though, while we were piloting, we all went to the training, and if hopefully we're going to be adopted, we're still going to go back to training because there's always more to learn. And the training is, like I said, we get to be the kids, so the chapters that are coming up, like chapter 3 and 4 is coming up, then when you go to the training, we're doing the material out of chapter 3 and 4, and there's always different teachers there, so everybody's bringing different stuff, their stuff, or how they did this last year, or this didn't work, or try this, and so it's a whole collaboration of making it go well.
Thank you.
Great.
I really appreciated reading the adoption materials. They did a great job of pulling together research and how you looked at it before and how you're going to implement it, and it was very thorough and enjoyable. So thank you.
Say I really sense a lot of enthusiasm for this.
Yeah.
And I definitely share it. This is the closest thing to 21st century textbook, web-based thing that I've ever seen, and I'm really proud that our district's finally doing this.
Yeah.
So this program CPM has been around a while?
So
apparently?
CPM has been around more than 20 years.
Yeah.
So they were Common
So how
Core
did we
before.
discover it?
How did we
California
discover
adopted
it?
Is that
Actually, it was
that's
kind of a twofold thing, but mostly it was the Unified Math Consortium that we're in. The Pescadero, I was just in a meeting today, but Pescadero has been using it. And then last year we had Katie Reed, the county person, was running, we had math committee for 2 years, but she ran it last year. And we were able to go out and visit some schools. And then I was at an SVMI training, and the Pacifica teacher on assignment was sitting with me, and they had just adopted CPM a couple of years ago. So we went and visited, what was going on there, and yeah.
Well, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal as far as reaching 2 different languages and a lot of powerful tools. This is something that kids, of course, are much more fascinated with than most adults,
Oh, yeah,
right?
definitely,
And so,
yep.
I'm really thrilled about this, that we're finally doing it, or we are doing it. And I hope we can work out access at home for the kids to make sure all these wonderful qualities can be accessed by everybody in the district. We should certainly have that as a goal, and I know that may be challenging for a while, but it's so critical that this is what enables everybody to do anything they want. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's, we're hoping maybe CEF or somebody can fund like internet access for everybody on the coast.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, if kids don't have electronics, we have, we've set everything up, so we've trained all the people at Boys and Girls Club and Homework Club, so that kids, can go there and do it after school.
Okay. So that there's no provision, you have to have a live internet connection to use the online stuff.
Or if your phone's on,
through
your
web or so.
Yeah,
Pretty
so-
expensive to use.
Yeah,
for
downloading
hours
data.
on.
Yeah, gotta get those bundled plans,
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And so the CPM company is nonprofit, and everything here has been developed by teachers and, refined, kind of over the years. And I don't know how many people were around 20-something years ago when we had Math Renaissance, but the 2 leaders of Math Renaissance, one's a professor, Judy Kish, at San Francisco State, and she's you'll see her name's one of the authors of everything that's here, and she's still a professor there. Yeah, she runs some of the trainings. Yeah.
The trainings are local?
The trainings, we have lots of choices, so we can go to Cupertino, Redwood City, Albany, Hayward.
But Albany, California.
Yeah, yes, Albany, California, up there by Berkeley,
Hop on
yeah.
a jet, so it's
Yeah.
very accessible.
And also, everything seems to be like these people, they're teachers, so they kind of get some stuff. So like a lot of the trainings are on Saturdays, and Sandra's been very generous about paying us to go on Saturdays, but it's good for the students. We're not taking sub days. And it's good for us because we're not stressing out about, making a sub plan. We're there just going to a training. So that's awesome. So there's a lot of weekend trainings also. So you can go weekdays or weekends. So each teacher can go to something different. We don't all have to go to the same one. And so everybody can choose what's going to fit in their schedule.
So I'd like to just close, unless there are any other questions, with an offer on the table, as usual, to anyone that's interested in seeing that academic discourse, that perseverance, and the changing face of the math classroom. Feel free to come on by, and we'll get you in one of those classrooms so you can see what the students are doing and how it is really as students in your classroom. Please take us up on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
I would just like to add, their enthusiasm is so contagious that at a regular TOSA meeting, our math TOSA meeting, of course the high school is there, and the TOSA for the high school, David Jones says, I want to come down and see what you guys are doing, and let's see if we can align, K-6-12. And so I was very impressed, because typically the middle school is caught in the middle,
Sure.
right? It's the high school that drives it, or the elementary drives it, and here are these guys that, elementary teachers are interested, high school teachers are interested, and it's just very exciting to see that. And it's obviously their leadership and their commitment that has made this happen, so thank you both. Thank you to your staff.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
That's pretty darn exciting.
That is really exciting.
So on that note, another exciting thing is the High School Health and Wellness Committee, and Ms. Euster's going to give us a report on that.
So, good evening. Let me get up presentation. I will comment as I'm getting up the presentation. I have had the great pleasure of being in some of those math classrooms, and it's fabulous. It just hooks you from the second you walk in, and the kids are locked on it. There's total engagement. It's amazing. It's just amazing to see.
Such a wonderful format, the way they want to learn.
Crystal, did you put the curse on my PowerPoint?
No, I didn't.
So, good evening. I am really thrilled to be here tonight to give you the report of the Half Moon Bay High School Health and Wellness Committee. So what I thought I would cover with you this evening is first a little history of the committee, how it came to be. I'm very pleased also to share with you the membership of the committee, and there are some committee members I see here tonight, so I'm going to ask them when the time comes to sort of wave to everyone, because the commitment here has been outstanding. And then we have a series of recommendations that we would like to present to the board, and I am one of the committee members, so when you hear me saying the we, it is I've been there at every single meeting, and I've had the great pleasure of working with the committee and being part of this effort taking place up at our high school. So the Half Moon Bay High School Health and Wellness Committee, the committee was formed in response to growing community concerns regarding the mental and physical health of our high school students. In fact, it originally centered on sleep and a lot of the things that have taken place, the unfortunate series of suicides over in Palo Alto, a number of the research saying that kids just chronically are missing, adolescents are missing sleep. And there was actually an informal survey that was taken showing tremendous, more than 500 responses saying the high school start time has got to change. There just isn't enough here. So in response to that, the district and the principal of the high school, and I see Mr. Nazar in the audience behind me, created the Health and Wellness Committee. We have 27 members in the committee. We took anyone who wanted to be involved, we advertised extensively for the committee. Anyone who wanted to be involved was welcomed to the committee. So we have parents, we have faculty, and we are thrilled to say we have students as well. It always is great to get the student voice on the committee. Our first committee meeting was in November of 2015, so this year. We have met 8 times since November, which I think really speaks to the dedication of this committee and to the drive the committee has to truly make a difference for our students in health and wellness. We have a web page on the high school website, and there is the link to that web page. It's right on School Loop, and on that web page you will find all of the committee agendas, all of our meeting notes, all of the research that we use to base any of recommendations that you will see here this evening. There's a great deal of research about sleep. There's also a great deal of research about mental and physical well-being for students. And there's also some great articles for parents on how they can help in these particular areas. Here is the list of the members of our, it is in alphabetical order. And if you are a member of the committee, could you please just put your hand up? There's one of our student members right in the back, and our trustee Papalardo. So first of all, a thank you to everyone. As I said, basically if you translate the timing I gave you, this committee met every 2 weeks, and it met for 2 hours, 4:30 to 6:30, and so a tremendous amount of work went into the creation of what you will see this evening. So the first priority the committee set itself out to do was the high school start time. After all, you heard there was a survey that had tremendous interest, more than 500, saying do something about the start time. So there was support for moving the start time, as I've told you, and the real driver behind it was we need more rest. Kids need more rest, and they need more sleep. So with this, and it was, I say it, a community survey, which truly it was, but we captured well more than simply adults on that survey. We had student voice, we had parent voice, we had faculty voice as well. Very quickly in our conversations, I think about in our second meeting, we also discovered from our faculty being very active here, that there had been a move for a while to move the high school onto a block schedule. And there are some advantages to block schedule in terms of homework relief for kids, and I will get into more of that in a little bit. But it surfaced very, very quickly. So the immediate conversation was, okay, if we're going to change things, let's just go straight to a block, because there's a lot of support for it, and we think that we could possibly do this. Unfortunately, there's something called a master schedule that high school and the junior highs create. That master schedule loads the kids. It also drives the fact, who do we have to hire for next year based on the sections and allocations we have for our students. In order for us to hire the best possible teachers for our students, that master schedule has to be done in January. So we received and we were active in November, but to make it by January just wasn't going to be possible. Among other things, while we can come up with a schedule, and even if we could, there's all of the logistics. You have food service to deal with. You have changing of prep periods. You have changing of curriculum. You don't just jump to a master schedule. You have to rewrite every single curricular syllabus in the high school to really reflect the new time periods involved. That just can't get done in a month or two. So, what could we do in 2016-17? What we could do in 2016 was to move the start time of the high school if we left it on the current 0 through 6. So we have a 0 period and then 6 periods. That was possible. So the committee decided we really want a block schedule. We really think this is the ideal and optimal thing for students. But we understand we can't have it all right now. So we want to go forward and we want to present that we're going for a block schedule in 2017-18. So we're putting forth a 2-year plan here. We have a first-year solution in 16-17 that will address the immediate need for a later start for more sleep. And then we have a solution we're getting ready for 17-18, which we will have ready on time, that addresses some of the further issues and benefits that come from a block schedule. So here are our recommendations for 2000. Yes, please.
Just a comparative data point for the board is our start time, our normal starting time is 7:40. Compared to really all the other high schools on the peninsula, the earliest other start time is 8:30. So we are way accelerated in terms of early in our current state, just to give you a little sense of it. And that's not including zero, of course, zero period is another story entirely, which is 6:30, is that the right time?
6:40? 6:40.
Just on that same point, what was the history behind such an early start? Did anybody have that information?
So the zero period got put in place because you have athletes, isn't it, John?
No, it was.
Here, Principal Half Moon Hay.
And I'm so.
This is John Nazer, by the way. This is those of you who perhaps do not know him, and for our viewer, he is the principal of Half Moon Bay High School.
Thank you, and I could also refer to Sean. I think he knows quite a bit. Sean Reardon, who spoke earlier. So, how I understand it, that there became a number of years ago a real ask by this community to provide courses such as advanced placement courses and other opportunities in the school day, so students could take classes to advance either their academic interests or pursue their different electives. So to create more opportunities, they put in a zero period, which is primarily a series of physical education classes and jazz band. So there's 4 physical education classes, so that allows basically our freshmen and sophomores, they take PE and then they have a full day, and they could then take, let's say, the biology, and they could take the sciences and the math, and still take, let's say, a journalism class or those interests. So now how it came to 6:40 in the morning, I don't know.
So in a sense, it was student-driven.
Well, yes, there was the interest of the students and, of course, the parents.
They didn't pick the time, I bet.
No, but I just wondered why the zero period was so early in the morning, and it has been for a good number of years.
So,
regardless what we identify.
Yes, I just wondered if there was any
historical reference.
Right. Okay.
I'm done with that point.
Okay, no, please, we're here for discussion, and that's as it, you know. So here are the recommendations for next year. So 1, the zero period start time moves to 7:15. That is 35 minutes later than we are currently starting. 2, the first period start time is at 8:20 a.m. That also is 35 minutes later. School dismissal is at 3:10. That is 14 minutes later. So in order to get here, we needed to shorten our periods by 3 minutes. The high school still is in full compliance with the state mandated instructional minutes, and we did have conversation with the faculty of the high school, and they were willing, and because the block is coming a year later, they were willing to, said they were okay with the 3-minute differential as part of, they understand that something has to move. They've been marvelous about this. They get something's got to move. And so they said, all right, this seems like a reasonable compromise. This seems like a way to get this done. So this is what it looks like, what the committee has come up with. Again, I say what the committee has come up with, but I really need to be very clear about this. This is not 5 isolated people coming up with something. This is something that the academic council at Half Moon Bay High School has seen, all of the faculty has seen, all faculty has seen, the community has seen, so there's been a lot of input when I finally come back to you and say, the committee. And the committee itself has had numerous conversations about this. So I'm showing you a result of all of those lots of data points and lots of conversation, not just one point. So there have been multiple check-in points with all of the diverse stakeholders and the students. I'm sorry, students. So the students also were checked. So, yes. Mm-hmm.
What about a traffic study with the change of the
Yes.
start time? How is Cunha affected?
Yes.
How is Hackett
Good question.
affected?
So, we had a traffic study take place at Half Moon Bay High School with so it really was, the beginning of the traffic study had to do with our normal, the traffic's horrible off Lewis Foster Drive, this is yuck. And then we also said to them, when you do your traffic study, we'd like you to investigate moving the start time by half an hour, moving the start time. So they've done several iterations of it. The results of that traffic study tell us that in the morning, so the short form, traffic study says, doesn't matter when you start the high school. To take care of your traffic in the morning, they actually had some pretty simple solutions. First of all, remove the stop sign that as you enter the high school, it's down by the lower parking lot. And they said, that's where all your traffic backs up. Get rid of it. And then you'll have flow. And that will alleviate a good portion of your problem. So, of course, it is high school property, and so we immediately jumped on it, and we're planning and getting ready for next year on how we can execute. That's a pretty simple solution. And the other solution that they agreed to and we saw was the lower parking lot at Half Moon Bay High School. Right now, you continue up Lewis Foster and then you turn into it. There's a little road that goes in front of it. It's really very easy to put a little quick driveway, so to give a second entry to the lot and pull people off Lewis Foster faster. And so there's some real simple fixes that we can do in the morning. The afternoon parking, the afternoon traffic, they said, that's a mess. And it's a mess for 15 minutes, and then it's done. So yes, is the traffic bad enough in the afternoon to justify a light? Yes. But for 23 3/4 hours of the day, no justification of light. So there have been a number of very productive conversations that we've had so far about other solutions. Can we move a bus stop? Can we change this? Can we get our pedestrians? How can we be safe about these? There will be a second meeting of the traffic group, I think, March 15th, where we will have Samtrans will be there, and we will have a number of players in the room to continue these conversations. The answer is, they said, it's not going to make a big difference in your traffic what time this high school begins or ends.
Well, I just heard the comment that on Thursdays, when the high school does have a late start, traffic flows a little easier. And I wondered, it was just a question.
Right. And so and now what I have to tell you is that the traffic engineers are not looking at Highway 1. The traffic engineers were focused on Lewis Foster and Main Street, that section. So they aren't looking at the impact on 1. And what most people are talking about when we all talk about the traffic, which I was in for 12 years, is Highway 1. It's getting there. And so they are concerned with the literal arrival of Lewis Foster and the intersection of Lewis Foster and Main Street, getting people in and out of the high school. So now let's look at a block schedule, which is our 17-18. So the committee started to talk about blocks, and so we thought about what are the really important things. If you're going to make a major schedule change like this, what do we need to accomplish for the good of our students? And the first thing that we said is we need a schedule that has a healthy balance between the academics, the electives, extracurricular activities, and a personal life. And that's not just for the kids. That's for teachers too. Because How many preps of classes do teachers have? How much time do they have to interact? How much professional development? How much collaboration? They need the same balance the kids need. And so we need a schedule that promotes this. We need, of course, to support the students' sleep needs. So we need a flexible schedule that will help kids get more rest, assuming they'll put the devices away and get the rest. But that's another story. We need something that helps in time management for students. One of the things, and I spoke with a number of students, and I asked them, so what kind of class load are you carrying? Well, I have this AP, and I have this class. And how much homework you got a night? Oh, 4 to 5 hours. And are you in sports? Yeah. So what time do you get started on the homework? Oh, 6 or 7. So you can hear the adding going up. In a block schedule, you don't take every class every day. So therefore, students don't have to be working on every subject every day. So it lets them have better time management so they can control things better. Teaching and learning should be well supported in a manner in which the time is allocated within the schedule. So that's so obvious, but one of the things we do when we schedule part of the time is we think we have a great idea and we've got our teachers running from course to course to course to course to course with no time to think and with no time to be prepared and to truly, and you have 47 minutes in which to get it all done and you're in a, in advanced placement, and now with the early arrival of early college, you're in college, but you just happen to be sitting in a high school room. And so the time to engage in the academic conversations and the in-depth things required of college level need to be there. And then again, teachers have dedicated time and plenty of opportunities to develop professionally, to collaborate with each other, and to share best practice. And so we have collaboration time, we have things in our schedule, we need to honor that, and we need to make sure that they're there and that teachers can use them. And then we wanted to also have ample time for student-teacher contacts and connections, such an important thing, to have an adult in student lives that cares. And so this, we wanted to make sure that our students and our student surveys, and you've seen some of you've seen some of the Healthy Kids survey results up here, and this connectedness is an area. And a block with a properly designed block builds in this time for student-teacher. And finally, we need committed and consistent time to address the needs of different learners. There are different learning styles. There are not only beyond just language, we have a whole host of things. Longer periods gives more time for differentiation and for in-depth ability to address the needs. So these were sort of the parameters that we all had in mind when we came together to start to talk about the conversation of block, and these came to us from research. So what you're seeing is a compilation of research, of faculty inputs, so a lot of things have come together to create these parameters. Oops, wrong way. So I will bring you to where we are right now, because we have the beginning, we have a nice little outline right now of what a block might look like in Half Moon Bay in 1718. The idea would be we would have block schedules 4 days a week. And what does a block mean? A block means a 95-minute period. So our regular periods, 53, 55, look at the extra time, 95 minutes. This means that teachers can really get in there and get in depth. You don't go to every class every day. So you have certain periods. On one day you have hypothetically period 1 through 5, and in the next day 2, 4, 6. So the classes are rotating, and therefore kids don't have homework every single day. They're time managing. They're doing a much better job and having a much better indication. 1 day a week, which is typical in the blocks, either a Monday or Friday is usually the day they do it, they have a regular day. The regular 7-period day, 50-minute periods, they get a lot of housekeeping done on those days, just basic day. So a lot of research that guides us on this. We have the best research. We also have, we pulled every single block schedule from the high schools over the hill. The best of them all, Aragon, you know, the award-winning high schools, the ones which have been called out, and we took from them what we all believed were the very best. What you're seeing here is driven heavily by our faculty, and they are the experts in these areas. Plus, we had faculty from over the hill who were teaching in block schedules come and talk to the committee about the pluses and minuses of being in a block, what it was like when they shifted. We had students come and address us, what their homework loads were like, whether they liked the blocks, they didn't like the blocks. So we got a lot of input. And the committee got to hear quite a bit about what it's like to be under this kind of scheduling. We would like to have consultation periods on 2 of the block days, so these would be 35-minute periods, and here's that student-teacher contact. So there would be a mechanism there so students could really get in depth with their teachers and get advice and consultate, just what its name implies, consultation. The earliest start time is 8 a.m. And some students won't start on the block days till 8:50, almost 9 a.m. So a real shift in the start time here. And the latest dismissal is at 3:30, and some students could finish as early as 1:50 on certain days, which is really great if you have an athlete, a student athlete. As you know, one of the things that we're not close to anybody. We're not like San Mateo Union that's 10 minutes away from 5 of its closest rivals, right? So they jump on a bus and they're there in 10 minutes. We're not. We're, I think, closest would maybe be Pacifica, so we're 20 minutes. So our kids are coming out of school right now. It happens all the time. If we can get kids finished at 1:50 on some of these days, they literally, the earliest we pull them, I believe, was 2:15, correct?
About 1:45. That's the earliest.
Yeah, so you can hear that if we've got students dismissing at 1:50, they're either missing very, very little or they're not missing any at all. So that's part of what is driving us, is how to get the flexibility and make sure that kids get what they need. The whole point of high school is to expand kids' horizons. It's to give choice. It's to make sure that kids can do what they need to do in a very flexible way. So this is the parameters so far we have on our block. The committee is continuing to work forward. The idea would be that we would be able to finalize our block by June, before we dismiss for the summer, because this gives us sufficient time. There are a number, I've told you, infrastructure changes that have to happen. We need to negotiate the impacts of these with our unions who are both here, and they are both aware, so there's no surprise, by the way. The union is very much aware, and Sean knows. Yeah, and they're heavily supported. You can even see in the high school planning its development for next year. I'm told that there's a lot of it that's actually being discussed on block, correct? Yeah, on block schedule. So we're very excited. This project is moving forward. We are confident we can come to all the agreements necessary, and we're doubly confident that this is really good for kids. Really thrilling and exciting times here in Half Moon Bay and Half Moon Bay High School. And with that, I open for any questions that you might have for me.
Well, I think being on the committee, every child, every day, this is right in that theme. I was really, yeah, I'll use my mic for the first time. This will be exciting. I was really struck. David was in the committee with some other students, and he's here tonight. Just talking to him and about the burden on a daily basis to be a good student and meet all the obligations of your class and perform at the level that these kids expect of themselves. It's really kind of an close to impossible model the way it's set up now, and I think it was a great collaborative effort amongst everybody that participated to listen, there were different views, but everybody processed it, and over those 8 meetings, we came to something I think that was a win for all sides. So that was really really nice to see, and I'm excited about that commitment to go to that next level with the block schedule, which is really the next tier of letting kids manage their day a bit different and getting more access to teachers, giving teachers more time to teach in a less hurried manner. There's just so many wins. I'm very excited about the possibilities here.
Thank you. Any comments?
I just want to say thank you to Rob and Jane for being part of this, and for all the members of the committee. You guys did a lot of work in a really short period of time, and I think it's really exciting. It seems like great opportunities for our high school and for our students. And I know that at last board meeting I gave you all a book. I don't know how many of you have read it, but it quite touched me, and actually a lot of the issues that the book brings up, Beyond Measure, which is by Vicki Avalos, who also did the documentary Race to Nowhere, and the documentary Beyond Measure, she talks about a lot of these issues and the stresses facing our students today, and we've done a lot already with this committee to address those stresses, and I'm excited about the future, of what we can do in the future. I was curious just in terms of how much longer this committee will continue to operate. Is it going to be just through June? Is it going to be a continuous one? Just curious
No,
about
it
the
is,
future
it is
as well.
a standing committee now at the high school, so it will continue to operate forever, we hope. It already has come up with a list of where we're going next, and we've already begun taking actions on those, so there's some fantastic ideas, and there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work. The physical and mental well-being of students is just paramount, and I can't commend all of the people on this committee who really just hang in there, and they're really dedicated and committed, and it's amazing how fast this all came together. I mean, if you talk to other districts about, a schedule change, and you can hear, it took us, 5 years, we can't even get there. And here we are in months with a 2-year plan on its way that will take us not only to later start, but also to a completely new schedule. It's really remarkable. It's remarkable.
And so there were suggestions by different committee members about what our next priority should be. And the counselors are in this as well, and they shared some really startling statistics about sort of the gradation of the kids, kind of what their state is of wellness, if you will, and that we're heading the wrong direction. So mental wellness, mental health is the priority. There are secondary and tertiary connected issues that have been called out, and we'll get to work on those next, but we've kind of identified the next priority, which is really important. And we may be coming to the board for money to help bring services to the kids and staff and so forth, so be ready.
Okay, you've only just begun, huh? But
correct.
Great progress so far. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item 13 on the agenda, which is communications, starting with communications from board members, for board members that have something to report. Kate, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I'd be delighted.
I just have to report that we had our first food bank school pantry, February 25th. There was a wonderful outpouring of volunteers, moms, dads, teens, and I would like to especially recognize Jezebel Wilkinson, who is the school site liaison from Hatch, who has done a fantastic job of plunging in and encouraging the other site liaisons to contact, robocall, whatever they need to do, but she's sort of taken the bull by the horns and is my colleague in crime. But we served 250 families at the school pantry. And it's already grown. It's looking to grow for our March 24th food distribution. School site liaisons are continuing to sign up families. It is open to any individual or family who is in need and qualifies. It's, again, a self-certification of, yes, this is who I am and this is my income. And Second Harvest has been excellent in supporting and providing the food. Mark, who you met earlier, helped us set up the tables, how to distribute the food. what we needed to be aware of, and the volunteers were fantastic. I can't say enough about our community of volunteers. It was pretty remarkable. So we'll be there again.
What are the hours?
2 o'clock is food setup. Families are served between 3:30 and 5:30, and 5:30 to 6 is cleanup. And I can't thank Julio Serrano enough as well. He is the Parks and Rec director, and his willingness to jump in to do everything from table setup to box cutting and pallets. It was a remarkable day. Jane was there. Sandra showed up. John Corey was seen carrying in food boxes.
Is there photographic proof of that?
I don't know if there was a photograph of that. But it was,
sweat. Wow.
yeah, it was a
Thank you,
warm
John.
afternoon, but it was wonderful. So I just want to say thank you to everybody in the community, and we'll be there once a month, so.
Is this an opportunity for high school students to
Yes,
participate also?
yes, I've been in contact with Mr. Nazar, and he in turn has been in contact with the counselors and whoever does the community service portion of the high school. I think we had 2 high school students show up in the first time, and I've encouraged them to bring back their friends. But it does count for community service. It's a good way to do
Yeah,
it.
we're encouraging that, and there's definitely some students that are going to need some community service very quickly.
Okay, yeah, so well, we're there.
And
They can get for us.
need exercise carrying those big boxes
We
around,
could sure
right?
use that youth. Yeah, but anyway, that's all I've got to report. So.
Thank you, Kate. Right?
I just want to say congratulations to Kate Livingston for her successful job. We're all very proud of you, and just really happy that you've worked on that and put it together. It's a wonderful thing for our community. It's really about the whole child and making sure that all of our children are well fed so that they can learn. And thank you, Crystal, for keeping up on the flipper issue with Jerry Hill. That was exciting news, and hopefully we'll actually get some real progress this year as well. Just 2 little things. I met with Jane and the CUT leadership to talk about teacher retention, and as Sean said, we're excited about continuing those conversations. And then also Jane and I are meeting about communication issues to kind of get moving on our communication part of our strategic plan. So it is not forgotten, and we should be coming back soon with some kind of recommendations for action forward on that. So
Great, looking forward. Bob?
Yes, do that again. There's so much going on in the community, from the food bank to the health and wellness committee to what's happening in Pillarcitos and Hatch and the gym and making things smoother for traffic at the high school. Status quo just isn't acceptable. We don't, just because it does not mean it needs to continue. And if we focus properly and invest our resources, and we're committed, and we bring in the appropriate experts, and we make sound decisions, we can change this community, which is a great community, even for the better. There's just so many examples happening right now. So thanks to everybody who's been on a committee, the community for funding, all the investment that's happening and so forth. It's an exciting time, but we need to keep our foot on the gas.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it certainly does make you proud to be part of it, doesn't it?
It does.
Great.
And to have a new
Thank you all.
microphone. Thank you.
So, student board member Tricia, tell us what's happening.
All right. Hello? Okay. All right, so the first report will be from Hatch. They've had a few field trips, Elkis Ranch, San Francisco Aquarium, and Francis Beach. And I think I reported this, but they had a Spirit Day on February 26th, Hat Day. And like many schools in the district, they had parent-teacher conferences all this week. And they will also be having their auction this Saturday night, March 12th. So all are welcome. Cunha this week, their leadership class is preparing the March Madness competition, and pretty much this week is just in preparation of the Super Bowl in spring, and I truly missed that time. And so Cunha Athletic Boosters are beginning their fundraiser as well, and the Cub card packed with local deals, and it'll be on March 17th. Mr. Cox and he's making final arrangements for the 8th grade DC trip with a parent night on March 31st at 6 p.m. in the library. And their third quarter recognition assembly is coming soon on Friday, April 1st. Kings Mountain, they had teachers and students join on March 2nd for math. Both teachers and students had math talks, and they worked on math problems, and they shared math games. And parents were impressed on how their children were pretty much able to comprehend and kind of just tear apart hard and complex problems. For their principal for a day, they had Miss Karen Choi from the Half Moon Bay Library, and she visited each class and pretty much shared her passion for reading. Students are preparing for student-led conferences next week. Fairlawn View, they also had their teacher and parent conferences this week, and their kindergarten classes have been working on plays like Where the Wild Things Are. And the Fairlawn View PTO auction, a night out, will be on March 19th, and again, all are welcome. El Granada had their talent show last week, where students sang, danced, and did magic tricks. And for Earth Day, they will be having the Baymobile on campus, teaching kids on ocean ecosystems and how to keep pretty much our oceans and environment clean and pristine. Their PTO is planning an auction on March 19th, Saturday, at the Senior Center. And again, all are welcome. And Half Moon Bay High School, we're pretty busy. This week, campaigns have been starting. So today, interviews were filmed for the vice presidents and presidents running for the spot. And students will be voting on Wednesday. The jazz band performed with the Cunha band on Tuesday, I believe. I was there. And pretty much the jazz band wanted to come over and help catalyze the enthusiasm and continue that. Kind of just, they want more people joining band in the high school. So it was a nice way to let the students know in Cunha, hey, we're good at what we do and we want you to be a part of it. Right now, varsity boys basketball team is on the road to state, and they will be having a home game up at the high school on Saturday, and it starts at 6 p.m. And they will be going against Liberty Ranch, and from what I heard, they are very loud, and so we need as many people dressed up in orange and black to just combat the noise. So all are welcome. And last but not least, the high school's musical Cinderella will have its opening night on March 24th at 7 p.m. $20 will be for adults and $10 for students, and you can buy the tickets at the door or at Inkspill in advance. Thank you.
Thank you, Trish. Superintendent Euster.
Thank you. So, thank you for making the announcement on our Cougars. So we won our very first round. What a great game that was. We advance on to the next round now, and with great pride that our Cougars are ranked #1. So we are the #1 seed in our bracket of this, and so that means actually the first 3 games are at home, correct? Yes. So we've had the first one, and I'm glad that everyone enjoyed themselves. I'm even happier that unfortunately their team had to go home in defeat, and the Cougars prevailed. Go Cougars! And Saturday is both the Hatch auction and the Cougar game. So come get involved in one of them. I will be over at the Hatch auction, but I've also insisted that I receive updates on the Cougars and their progress, rather forcefully, I might add. Oh yeah, there's nothing like high school. There's just nothing. I mean, I love all of our kids and all of their activities, but come on, we're having a great time now. I was also there for the wonderful band concert with both the Cunha Band and the Cougar High School Jazz Band. A great concert. What a talented bunch of kids. Instrumentals were wonderful. I was really impressed by just how professional. I expected out of the jazz band. They're our top band in the high school, and they lived up to those expectations and they exceeded them. But our 8th graders were sounding really, really good. My compliments to the music instruction at Cunha and music instruction throughout this district. I've had the great pleasure of being in many, many classrooms now and in seeing each of our music programs, and it's just wonderful to watch the kids engage in the music education. You've heard about some of the other places I've been spending my time in the reports of the Wellness Committee and in a number of the reports of our other committees. As I said, I will be at the Hatch auction. I will also be at the Fairlawn View auction. We also have got grad night coming up as well. And of course, Cinderella. I'm going to go get my glass slipper. And so really looking forward to it's spring, and we get active in this, much more active in the spring because all of the spring activities come out, and you can just feel the enthusiasm at our schools, and you can feel the excitement. Unfortunately, in construction, we're a little bit stopped because of torrential downpours. But even with that, we've continued to move forward, and a lot of exciting progress. You can see the foundations pouring onto the Cunha gym, and we are still on schedule for the foundations pouring for the new high school in the next couple of weeks. So exciting things going on, and we'll keep you apprised of our progress.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so that takes us to item 14 on the agenda, which is consent items. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion?
I'd like some discussion on item 14A.
Okay, ask a question.
All right. This is directed, Dr. Jewett, to you.
Kate?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You need to pull it.
Do I need to pull it?
Yeah, because she can't, you can direct her questions, but you can't discuss on a consent item.
But I can ask questions and get my questions answered.
Ask questions and get them answered.
Yes.
I can ask questions and get them answered.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I'd like to do that then.
Okay, perfect.
Should I pull it?
Address them to Dr. Jewett.
That's up to you.
You don't need to pull it if you...
discuss it, we have to pull it. Why don't you ask for questions, and if you're not satisfied,
Okay.
discuss with us.
Okay. All right. I'd be happy to do it that way.
Do you think it will, you think we should discuss it? Because we'll pull it, it's easier.
Whatever would be easier, it doesn't matter.
You just have a couple brief questions, or you want to talk about it? Just to be clear.
Well, I don't know if my questions will go into a discussion.
And,
Okay.
Okay, we need a motion.
yeah, we need a motion to amend the consent agenda.
Okay, I make a motion to amend the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, and so we'd like to then, we have a motion to amend, and that would be pulling item A for discussion.
14A,
14A. So then we need another motion to approve the other parts of the consent agenda as amended. Do I have a motion?
14A will become 15.
Will become 15GFGH.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we have
Motion
a,
to approve the amended consent agenda.
thank you. Second. Okay, so all in favor of moving the item 14 consent agenda as amended forward? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. 4 plus 1. Thank you. Okay, now let's move to 15, which is action items. 15A, this is on page 68 of your PDF file, in case you'd like to read along with me. So the first is 15A is to adopt a resolution number 01-16 endorsing April as Public Schools Month. So Superintendent Euster, would you like to introduce this?
Yes, historically, every April, the Cabrillo Unified School District, and I think it originally came from a proclamation from the state, but now it just continues to renew, proclaims Public School Month. And it's not to say that we are public schools, we're public schools all months. But in this, the particular aim of this, I mean, it was a strange, I had not seen this before, and I said, we're not public school. Every year. But so what it was about, so I did some research about this, and what it's about is it is a reminder to the school district as well as the community of the important link that public schools are within the communities. And it is, what someone once put is, it is some marketing for a reminder to the public school districts that they need to be talking with their communities and their constituencies about the great things that we do for kids. And so this is a heightened, we're picking April as a month that, yes, you do it all the time, but do something special in April, have some special activities, really invite the public in and let them see all the wonderful things that are going on for kids. And thus the creation of April as Public School Month.
Great, thank you. So the language is that it be resolved for this resolution that the district ask each of the schools within the Cabrillo Unified District and the coastside community to join in observing April as Public Schools Month to promote public education as the source of our nation's strength and the key to our future. That's some language.
There you go.
Here, here. So this is a roll call vote, and we'll start. Oh, sorry, we don't have a motion yet, do we? No, I don't think I did ask for a motion.
No, you did not.
No.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve?
I'd like to make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, the motion to declare April as Public Schools Month in the District of Cabrillo Unified moves forward, and we ask for a roll call vote now. Starting with Aye.
Aye.
Tricia, aye. And absent is trustee Michael Ager. Yes, yes, sounds like. So we have 4+1, Patty. So we've approved that resolution, and we'll now move to 15B, which is to approve the Cabrillo Unified School District and California School Employees Association Chapter 485 successor negotiated agreement for July 1st of 2015 through June 30, 2018, a 3-year agreement. And I think that this is something that Jane Euster would like to talk about? Is that right, or John Corey? Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Corey.
Thank you, President Reamer. Definitely exciting times in Cabrillo, as Mr. Pappalardo was speaking about lots of exciting things. I was equally excited last night to watch the Cougars win on the court, but also excited to see a high school student slam dunk a ball during a game. It was equally exciting with all the Warriors basketball that I watch as well, and a lot of community spirit up there. Personnel administrators also get excited when we reach successor negotiated agreements with our bargaining units, and this evening we're presenting the CSEA successor negotiated agreement to the governing board for approval. I too would like to compliment Diane Paoli, our new CSEA president, on the very collaborative relationship that she continues to build with the district and with site administration. And we appreciate her efforts at the bargaining table when we were able to reach an agreement that's being presented to the governing board this evening. Within the packet, you will see language related to the CalPERS contributions that were mandated to be changed. And you will also see language in the agreement related to 4 specific articles that were refined. You will see in the first page of the enclosement information related to the CalPERS. The Public Employee Pension Reform Act of 2012 mandated that the district no longer continue paying both sides of the PERS retirement for new employees coming into the district. on or after January 1, 2013. So the district had to, at the end of our negotiated agreement, make that mandated change. You can see in the enclosed document under number 1 that we shall continue in this grandfathering capacity for employees hired prior to January 1, 2013, and for any other unit members who are classic CalPER members to continue to pay both sides of the PERS retirement. The change and the impact is for the employees hired on or after January 1, 2013. They will be paying their PERS contribution, I believe it's 6%, but they will be receiving an increase in their salary equivalent to the PERS portion that the district would normally be paying. So it was very important from a fiscal standpoint to make sure that this was cost neutral to the district, and we were able to reach that agreement with CSEA, and that is included within this packet for your approval. We spent a lot of time talking about PERS. Fortunate to have a lot of good resources at the table, including Greg Danis and Crystal as well, working behind the scenes to make sure the numbers were adding up, to make sure it was cost neutral. Very quickly moving on to contract language. We do have some changes within Article 2 for CSEA rights. You'll notice under 2.5, there's language that will assist CSEA with membership inventory information, which has been going on in our district historically, but you can see the specific information that we will send to CSEA on a quarterly basis. You'll also see under 2.9, we are going to provide new employee orientation time for Diane Paoli or another CSEA executive member to meet with new employees in an orientation capacity. And we think that will be a good orientation in addition to the personnel orientation, and also included within our strategic plan of making sure that new employees receive as much information on how to be successful and supported within our district. Article 5, hours and overtime. The language under 5.7 speaks to cancellation and notification, and if such work is canceled with less than 8 hours notice, the employee shall receive the minimum amount of pay provided in this section. So there was a lot of talk about when we make arrangements for someone to work on a weekend, that the call is not coming an hour or 30 minutes ahead of time, that they're not needed. So we included that revision as well. You'll also see salary information. Some of it is language under 6.6, stipends coming to increments. Under leaves as well, bereavement leave, we've added mother-in-law and father-in-law. These are district-paid leaves under bereavement. I won't share all the mother-in-law and father-in-law jokes at the table with regards to attending services, but we do agree and value our employees and wanted to provide that paid leave time for mother-in-law and father-in-law. And then under duration, you can see that this new successor agreement, which will mirror the CUTA agreement, will be effective retro July 1, 2015 through June 30th, 2018. The reopeners are listed 22.2 and .1, that we will have openers listed accordingly under wages, health and welfare, and up to one article selected by each party. We also want to have further discussion on vacation, on hours and overtime, and this is for 16-17. And then also finally for 17-18, the reopeners are listed wages, health and welfare, and up to two articles after selected by each party. So negotiations and having spent time at the table the last 10 years, the day was productive. Anytime the negotiations end with handshakes, you know that we've had a successful day, and we accomplished it finally on January 25th. There's still lots to talk about, but due to the collaborative nature that we have at the table, we were able to reach this agreement with CSEA, which has been ratified by their bargaining unit, and we are presenting it to the governing board this evening for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt resolution, or sorry, so the successor negotiated agreement under 15B?
I'll make that motion to approve.
Seconded. Okay, any discussion?
I just have a clarifying question, John. Does this make a two-tiered insurance group?
The tier capacity, there's not much change to the welfare, but there's basically going to be two different salary schedules. There is a salary schedule for employees who will continue to receive both sides of PERS paid, and there was a separate salary schedule with an increase of 6% for employees who now will be paying portion of their PERS.
So it makes it more equal than separate?
It's equal.
Okay.
If you're not getting the PERS, you're getting the 6%.
Okay.
And
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, and I know we're sensitive to the tiered approach historically in our district, but a way to equalize that was to offer the 6%, so that there is that feeling, you're getting PERS paid, I'm not getting PERS paid, but you're getting 6%. So just making sure that it was cost neutral and being sensitive to that equalness as we have historically tried to do in our district.
Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation. Any other comments, questions? Okay. This is also, sorry, this is not a roll call vote. This is just an approval, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes 4.1. Thank you. The next is 15C, which is a resolution, 0216, to approve reducing and/or discontinuing of classified positions. This is also Mr. Corey.
Thank you, President Reamer. And presented to the governing board this evening is our layoff resolution, if you will. This is an annual layoff resolution, particularly for positions in our district that have been paid for either by parent group, positions that have historically been paid through former categorical money, or positions that we're just not sure how the budget will finalize. So in abundance of caution, these positions are laid off. I will say historically, if you remember 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, the list was almost a page.
Certainly
we
was.
really tried to minimize the impact to our employees. The positions that are listed, and I will review them, are annual positions with the additional notation of our first position on the layoff resolution, which is our Administrative Assistant 2. This is our adult education program, and certainly if you have not heard about the recreation of adult education on the coast, it's been amazing, but this is a position that we've had to add. It's a CSEA position. We're not sure due to the fiscal uncertainty of what those funds will look like. This position will be laid off, and like most of the positions here, they will be rehired as soon as the funding has been secured. The Clerk Assistant 2, and I'm going over the layoff resolution included in the packet, is a PTA-funded position at one of our elementary sites. The Custodian 1, Food Service Assistant 1 and 2 are positions within our food service program, and due to the uncertainty of the budget, those positions are laid off annually. In addition to that, we have our lead bus driver and our school bus driver positions. We're still finalizing IEP meetings from here until the end of the year, and just not sure what the IEP needs will be for students. Bus routes may be adjusted accordingly and possibly reduced. The library technicians are included. These are the library technicians within the district, some of which are paid for by parent groups, as they have annually been listed on this layoff resolution. We also have a paraprofessional 1 position listed on our layoff resolution, and our school-age child coordinator. This is the Kings Mountain after-school program that is funded via KMAP. That is listed on this resolution as well. So having communicated directly with Diane Paoli, I reviewed the listing with her just to make sure that she understands, employees are aware, but the most important part, you obviously take no joy in bringing a layoff resolution to the board, but we're already beginning our efforts to secure commitment funding letters for 16-17, and as soon as we do, we have a article within CSEA where we initiate a reemployment meeting, and we hope to bring back employees to their positions as soon as possible. So this resolution is presented to the governing board this evening for your approval.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 216? So moved. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. So moved and seconded, and we are now ready to have any further discussion about this? Any questions? So this takes effect June 30th. It's done now to meet the legal language. And it's an annual event that is not a fun thing.
I can second that too.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote. It's a roll call. Trustee Papalardo? Aye. Reamer? Aye. McCammon?
Aye.
And Livingston, thank you. And Trish?
Aye.
Thank you. 4 plus 1. That takes us to item D, resolution number 316, to approve the pre-qualification process for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing subcontractors for lease-back projects. The pre-qualification questionnaire and pre-qualification evaluation procedure. And Crystal Leach will be discussing this.
Effective January 1, 2016, school districts are required to pre-qualify first-tier mechanical, electrical, and plumbing subcontractors for all contracts for projects using the lease-back method awarded after January 1, 2016. So the lease-back contracts that we awarded prior to January 1 were not of this most recent law. This includes the pre-qualification questionnaire, pre-qualification evaluation procedure. Subcontractors shall submit the following information to establish its qualifications to perform construction work at the first-tier subcontractor on district lease-back projects. So I ask the governing board to approve the pre-qualification process for the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing subcontractors for lease-back projects for the pre-qualification questionnaire and pre-qualification evaluation procedure.
Thank you. So I need a motion to adopt resolution 316.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Seconded. Thank you. So are there questions about this resolution? So this is a new legal approach to it, the revised approach, and we will be making use of this in the future, which is why we're doing this, correct?
Correct. This is really something that we really already do as well, because using public funds, we are bound by prevailing wage and then also using union labor. So this is a way to additionally check that box and a requirement under the lease-back contract method.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so this is a resolution with a roll call vote. So Trustee Livingston.
Aye.
McCammon.
Aye.
Reamer. Aye.
Aye.
Papalardo. Aye. And Trish.
Aye.
Okay, 4 plus 1. It passes. And that takes us to 15E, which is approve the second interim financial report for fiscal year 2015-16. Again, Ms. Leach.
Ed Code requires the school district to submit the district's financial status twice during the year. Tonight I presented second interim, and at this time I ask that the board certify our second interim with a positive certification.
Great. Okay, thank you. Any motion to move this forward?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the approving the report that was given earlier this evening, so hopefully your questions have been answered and we're ready to vote. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 4 plus 1. Takes us to 15F, appoint members for the new Measure B Citizens Oversight Committee. And this, Superintendent Euster will tell us about.
So as we've discussed in many meetings, and in fact tonight, the generosity of our community and its commitment to the education of its students, once again demonstrated by the passing of the parcel tax, Measure B. Sorry, I had Measure E also pop right in my head, which is its predecessor. And so we now form the Citizens Oversight Committee, which is part of our commitment to our community to make sure that the dollars that have been allocated towards from the parcel tax are used in a proper and correct fashion. This is an independent committee, and so I bring to you, we put out ads, and we've put out a number of outreaches to get members to the committee. And I bring to you the 4 members, potential members, for your vote this evening, and then we'll get the committee started. Within the next month or so, the first meeting of this committee will take place. So there are 4 potential members. They are Mike Alifano, who was a member of Measure E, and of course Mike very active in the community. Jeff Crofton, who also was a member of representing our classified unions, who was a member of the other parcel tax committee. James Henderson, also a member from the other parcel tax, so not rolling over, but graciously volunteering to continue. And then a new member, J. Daniel Backrack, who is involved in our community and also involved as a business owner in this community and applied to be on the oversight committee.
Wonderful. Thank you, that's great. Need a motion to move this forward? Thank you. So, are there any questions or any discussion of the members of the new Measure B Citizens Oversight Committee?
Is 4 the number that we'd like to have? I mean, I know that in the past, Measure E had a much larger committee.
12.
7 or 9 members,
Yes.
so 4 seems...
So that's all we've gotten so far.
Oh, okay.
Through,
These were applicants.
These were the applicants, and so one of the first things when this group comes together is we need to meet and talk about outreach to get more committee members. Normally we have about 7 or 8 committee members, but this is what we have so far, and we should get started and let them get bylaws and things in place, and then we can outreach as well. We'll go back out and try and get more people involved. No. So in the, correct. And there also isn't the same requirement. In Measure S, it shall be one of this and one of this and one of this. And in here, it's much more flexible, much more flexible.
It's an added value.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor of appointing these 4 new members of the Measure B Citizens Oversight Committee? Say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 4 plus 1. And that next is item 15G, which is to approve the CUSD Governing Board policy updates as recommended by the California School Boards Association. Ms. Euster.
So as you...
Page 225.
Yeah. So as we do continuously, we make sure that our board policies are in line with the California School Board Association recommended guidelines for us. And so we continue to bring them to the board as they come forward and as we bring them forward. 2 we have for you this evening. The first one is the superintendent and the superintendent's contract. The changes that we are recommending reflect the new laws involved with superintendents. It has to do with you can't what they used to call spiking. So it's the control of the spiking of a superintendent contract. It is also the control on the termination that moves from 18 months down to 12 months. And it also discusses, talks about cash versus non-cash settlement. So this is all of the new language that has been approved by the legislature involving superintendent contract and was brought into play actually when you created mine. So this was all in place when my contract was taking place, but now we bring our board policy in alignment, so that is the first. The other changes that I bring to you is because of the local control accountability plan and the funding formula associated, there are target groups of students. And one of these groups of students is homeless. And what has taken place because of this is that board policies have been examined, and it has been noted that homeless students are not, they're missing out of several of our board policies. And so the only change that we have to those board policies you see here this evening is the arrival of the term homeless to come into place till we make sure that very critical student group is recognized and part of our board policies.
So it's an addition.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. and otherwise no substantive.
time, too.
Yes, about time, and so it is a recognition that this is an important group and needs to be looked after.
Great. So, do I have a motion to approve this 15G?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second?
Great, thank you. So, all in favor of approving these board updates, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 4 plus 1. And now we go to 15H, which is former 14A, which was to approve the local education agency plan addendum, and that's page 34 of your packet of the. So, and that's Dr. Jewett?
Yes, so the plan is the local educational agency plan is supposed to be reviewed every year. When we had the federal program monitor come in, one of the things that it asked was, we'd like to see your LEAP plan. The plan had been written in 2010 and had not been reviewed on a regular basis. So the auditors came in and said, well, how do you know that services are aligned? How do you know that we've consulted parents and teachers, and how do we know how students are doing, how are we meeting their needs? So we need to have an addendum, look at the SIPSIS, figure out where those gaps are, create an addendum in order for you to be in compliance with the FPM, the Program Monitor. Obviously, moving forward, we are not going to wait a number of years to evaluate the plan. We have a committee that we have started with parents and teachers and administrators to ensure that services are provided, they're aligned, and we're looking at what is the best needs that we can have for our students and make sure that they reach their potential.
Thank you. So, do I have a motion to move this forward as 15H? Second. Okay, so now it's time for questions.
Now I can ask my questions?
Yes,
All right,
you
great.
can, ma'am.
On page 36, as I'm reading this, of course, as a former teacher, I'm keyed in. It's page 36 in the board packet. And it's in the first box, it's item number 3.
High turnover.
Due to a high turnover among administrative staff. And I just wanted to have a clarification. Though there is not enough information at this point to determine why the plan was unsuccessful, I just find that very curious, that the plan cannot be determined to be successful or unsuccessful because of the high turnover of administrative staff. I'm missing the correlation there.
Yes, thank you. Actually, this was verbiage from the auditor. His concern was, tell us what happened. And during this period of time, I understand, and this is obviously before my time, there were 3 superintendents. Even though my predecessor was here, there was an enormous amount of situations, I guess, that have happened, and there was not enough documentation other than people were leaving, and there was not enough of a trail to better understand what had happened in terms of, in this case, professional development. And the auditor suggested, well, there's not much information that we can have to determine why it was successful or not successful. There were not systematic evaluations, so let's make sure that moving forward we can have a clear assessment on how these the sites are gathering data.
But my concern is that weren't teachers inputting test score results and all that data that I remember putting into EDIMS on a regular basis? I find it hard to believe that we cannot determine the success or not success of a program due to the turnover in administration. I know that they, of course, are leads, but our staff has been pretty regular. I found that odd.
Well, so if you go to look in EDIMS for the data, a lot of it's just not there.
Because it wasn't inputted? It wasn't inputted.
Well,
is that a word?
so
Yes,
it wasn't
so
inputted?
Here's the problem. We don't
Okay.
know. We don't know, was it not input? What was it? I mean, it's been one of the questions I've been asking, and so is Sandra, as we go out, because that's exactly, we were told that this, but it's not there. the data's not there. And so as they went to make the polls and evaluate programmatic efficacy, lots of data is missing. And so we've actually heard that, yes, some schools were pretty good about getting data in, and some schools were not. And there was, frankly, over the period of time since 2010, there's been administrative turnover, there's been lots of variables at play, but we didn't have the story, the entire reason, and thus the federal program monitors took the view saying, okay, you don't have all of these pieces, but the data isn't here.
What kind of data is recorded for reading and writing workshop?
So the current data measures at this time, we have Fountas and Pinnell, which is given on 3 times a year.
And that's just a recent purchase, isn't it?
Right, that's this year. That's the first year for it. There used to, my understanding is from when I first came, I talked to Ann Bailey about this, and, sorry, Sandra, my assessment director hat is on in full. It should have, running records was set to go, right? And I'm looking at the lady who taught me running records years ago. So running records were supposed to be in there. And in fact,
explain what that is.
Running records is a measure of student fluency, and a teacher listens to a student read for a period of time, and there's literally, it's learning shorthand. And the shorthand that you're writing at the time talks to you about, did a student hesitate here? Did they incorrectly blend? So there's a mispronounce. And if it was mispronounced, did the student self-correct? And so there's this whole shorthand that when it's done with, you translate into a child's independent reading levels.
Right.
Where are
there's
they?
An accuracy level, there's a fluency level, and you can determine at what point this child, is it a beginning reader, an intermediate reader, and you can actually assign a level to that reader and then find appropriate instructional material. So
if all our school sites has not been doing reading levels, because I mean my kids have been in these schools for the last 7 years, and I've always had reading levels for them. But told to me by the teachers. Is that not recorded, or is that the
Correct.
problem? Or were not all teachers doing
It has
those
not
reading
been
levels?
consistent.
It's not consistent, and it's not even when, and that's been some of the discussion is, well, but I did it for my students and I gave it to parents. Why do I have to go put it in this data system? So there's a whole variety here of some teachers, just it's in there and you can see it, but it's not very many. And so,
but yet teachers had to give the next year teacher that information, so it was recorded in some way,
but
shape,
it has
or
to
form.
get in the central data files.
Okay, all right, so
and
there's a big disconnect there.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm not saying it wasn't done. Please do not take that as a commentary that wasn't. We believe it was. But when you go to produce these sorts of reports and you produce it, you need to produce the centralized form. Yeah.
So
It's
there's definitely
systematic.
a lapse in data entry, I guess we could say. Okay.
Which we've addressed,
and
this
we're
year's
talking-
plan's addressed.
And we're
quite a bit.
talking about a specific group of, a targeted group. We're talking about
Yes.
our second language, we're
Yes.
talking about our socioeconomic
Yes.
group, we're talking about.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that when we talk about making every child a
Right.
reader by third grade.
Our special needs kids
Special
are,
needs.
I mean, so you have a whole, and
It's a
you're also, quite frankly, you're addressing not only those kids, but you also address the high flyers, the kids who are way above, because you got to keep them interested, or as you
Right.
know, you go along thinking everything's great, and it falls apart. So they demand attention, and the middle of the road kids demand attention too, because it isn't enough to say you're fine and now I never look at you again, because the demand on the reader becomes some ways exponentially more cognitively demanding the further you go. And that's why nowadays there's even the comment used to be you learn to read by third grade and then read to learn. And realistically, that's not true anymore. You never cease to need to learn to read. You are on a more sophisticated cognitive level when you're doing it in informational texts and things, but even college kids, think of you all when you hit your first major college stuff, you had to learn to read all over again. You start from a higher level, but nonetheless, you've got to get hold of that text in a very different way. So.
All right, thank you. Going down to the second box, number 2, it talks about targeted growth of 5% annually in all students, and then in the significant subgroups. Is there a specific number associated with that targeted growth of 5%? And does each classroom teacher have the numbers of students that are in their classroom in front of them every day? I should be addressing this to you. Are those students identified? How every teacher is aware of who in his or her class is part of that targeted 5% growth?
Yes, and that's part of that pre-post and interim assessments that Superintendent Euster was talking about. Obviously, and you're in the classroom as well. We need to know who are the students who need special interventions. How do we go about reaching those interventions? And we benchmark. What are the kinds of things that we do? We certainly would not provide a book that is not a just right book to a child who's not able to read at a certain level. So that's, am I not answering your question?
Yes, I know that, but I'm also looking at new staff members and how do they know how to do that? Is that staff development ongoing? Is that, that could be another reason why it's not being inputted. I don't know.
Yes,
it just struck me as odd.
The TOSAs have been working with teachers on a one-on-one. Actually, they have this thing called Cookies in Collaboration, in which they meet on a one-on-one, sometimes on a two-and-two. We also have the Fontas and Pinnell, which has been an all-day assessment training. And then, of course, we've had the one-day conferences, say, for instance, in reading. And in math has also been an ongoing thing. We do need to target those students. We need to, really
identify them?
Exactly. I have that laser focus on those identified students.
Okay. And then it went on page 37 and 38 to talk about what was going to be done specifically, to specify the actions. And some schools have X, other schools have Y. I was noting that there's not a lot of consistency across the school sites, and that concerns me as well. And I just wanted some further clarification on El Granada gets this, Hatch gets that, Fairlawn View gets something else. What's with that?
I'm glad you brought that up. In fact, this is some conversation that we've been having with LCAP. What we did, because of what we were required in terms of the audit, was we had to look at the SIPSAS and pull that information. So each school had developed their SIPSAS based on their parent input, on their own community input, on their children's needs. One thing that we have been working with the principals is we really need to look at the interventions. Are they working? How do we know they're working? Just because we have a AB club, does the AB club address the needs of the kids? Do they address the kids that need to be addressed, and what are those needs? So right now with LCAP, we're meeting with principals actually twice a month at our principals meetings to talk about, let's get focused, let's try to align, streamline resources, look at economies of scale, and make some decisions that are going to be holistic. Because, even as a reading teacher, most of the kids are going to have some kind of decoding problems. So do we need to have, PD on decoding, or do we need to have something else? So we need to start looking at it as a unified system rather than in isolation.
All right.
So I would like to comment. I had a question. I guess I sent it to you, Ms. Euster, but about how early on, and this goes to box 1 there, that that now there was going to be targeted professional development as one of the solutions to this problem. And some of this you've touched on. I was wondering, there's also going to be a different, the professional development is for how the approaches to teaching the students is going to be, and when do you know there's been enough professional development? I guess it's kind of a basic question.
Well, I don't think there's ever enough learning. I mean, both of you are, have terminal degrees, and we know that even with a terminal degree, you continue going. PD, really what we're looking at is going to be on student achievement. Did we reach the goal? How do we know we reached the goal? Through data. If they don't input the data, right, we're not going to know how we're doing. Actually, before this meeting, I was looking at the TC, the Teachers College Readers Writers Workshop data from October to February, and I wanted to see, has there been an increase, right? And there has been an increase. In fact, there was a 2% increase. May not seem significant, but for us was very significant.
Awesome.
You know, exactly. So how do we know that PD is working? Well, because there was an increase. How do we know that they want more? Well, because we surveyed the teachers at the end of every one of those in-service they attended, and they said, we like this, we want more in-depth in-service on it. So obviously teachers are engaged and they want to learn more about it, and it's going to reflect on student outcomes.
So teachers were surveyed and they wanted more teachers' college?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Which is reading and writing workshop?
That's correct.
Really?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. We have the surveys on those for everybody who attended.
Good. Oh, any other questions, discussion?
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for asking me to be bold so we could discuss it. This is important. Good. Thanks. And having completed discussion, it's time to now approve it. This was just
Part of the consent.
Okay, so it's all in favor? Aye. So 4 plus 1 would pass 15H, and that ends the action items for tonight's meeting. Item 16 is future board agenda items. We're going to discuss the LCAP report and more policy maintenance updates, and look at a resolution in recognition of certificated and classified employees week. Is that April or May? It's coming up, huh? May, thank you. And we're going to get a construction report update, which I guess means when they start constructing, and they drain the lakes or something. We haven't had a reconstruction update report. Yeah, great, looking forward to that. So, I need a motion to go recess. Do you need a motion to recess? Okay, we're adjourning tonight. Yes, we are going to go back to closed session.
We're going back to closed session.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
I thought only open session requires you to go past.
Yeah, that's
true.
You
We also have a motion to
open
adjourn.
session. I thought we had to do it in open session, but it covered.
It is a whole, well, we could go ahead and move it in case we, do I have a motion to exceed 10 p.m. if necessary? Clever move, okay, you heard the end time then, Patty, you write it down. No? So moved, second? All in favor? Thank you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is over.